For as long as humans have been alive, there have been conspiracy theories, some of which have been proven to be correct, while others are more outlandish and less believable. Whether they have to do with extraterrestrial beings visiting Earth in order to share their superior knowledge with us, or focus on governments that suppress their people without their knowledge, there will likely never come a time when a conspiracy theory doesn't exist. Number 5. Every now and then, an author writes a book that, to some, is so profound that it changes their entire belief system forever. One such example is Dianetics, the Modern Science of Mental Health, which was written by L. Ron Hubbard and serves as the cornerstone for the beliefs and practices of the Church of Scientology. Another example of this is a series of books written by economist and French theorist Zecharia Sitchin called The Earth Chronicles, in which he lays out his interpretations of ancient cuneiform tablets that hail from Sumer and Akkad. Sitchin claims to be one of only a handful of people who have the ability to translate these tablets, and in the first of his books, which is entitled The 12th Planet, he states that there's a planet in our solar system called Nibiru, or Planet X, that we're not aware of. According to the author, Nibiru orbits our sun every 3,600 years, and soon the belief system arose that this planet would collide with the Earth in 2003. This came about after a supposed psychic called Nancy Leader claimed she could channel extraterrestrial beings, and that they gave her this knowledge as a warning. When this didn't come to pass, however, the date of the collision was changed to 2012 to coincide with the end of the Mayan calendar. But once again, there was no planetary collision. But conspiracy theorists weren't about to be undone, and when a comet called Elenin was discovered, it was theorized that this was actually Nibiru, and that the collision would take place in 2017, on the 23rd of September to be exact. But this also didn't come to pass, and it's now considered by most to be nothing but pseudoscience and conspiracy theorizing. There are, however, still those who believe that the planet exists, and it holds an important key to our history. It's said that a race of extraterrestrial beings with superior knowledge reside on Nibiru, and that they are what we consider to be the missing link in the evolution of mankind, since they lived on our planet more than 450,000 years ago. Sitchin and his followers believed that this race of aliens came to Earth in search of gold, but they soon discovered that it wasn't easy going when it came to mining the metal, and they devised a plan in which someone else would do the heavy lifting, namely humans. The plan was to mix Homo erectus and Anunnaki DNA in order to create Homo sapiens, and so the Anunnaki were freed from a life of hard labor. But the relationship wasn't all one-sided. Apparently, the Anunnaki also shared certain pieces of information with the Sumerians, including knowledge of space, as is evidenced by a clay tablet that was discovered in a set of ruins in Nineveh, showing how to navigate our solar system. They were also given maps of our solar system that showed Nibiru as the outermost planet, rather than Neptune as we believe. Added to this is the belief that the Sumerians had knowledge of comets and planets that once held water, such as Mars. But they also claimed that there was potable water on Venus, Jupiter, and Saturn, among others, and that they were the first to show how Earth's moon was formed. However, the Anunnaki aren't considered by all conspiracy theorists to be helpful and friendly. There are many people who believe that they're actually a race of lizard-like humanoids, many of which still live among us on Earth. But surely this would be obvious to us, since a race of lizard people would definitely stand out. But this is explained by the theory that they have the ability to alter their appearance, and hence are able to walk freely among us. But the Anunnaki don't hide from humans as one might expect. Rather, they use their disguises to reach positions of power and celebrity, giving rise to more conspiracy theories, claiming that many of the politicians and celebrities that we know are actually part of this lizard race. For example, Queen Elizabeth II was said to be one of these extraterrestrials who sought to rule humans by gaining a position of power. But it isn't just rulers and politicians who are supposed to be reptilians. Many celebrities, including Angelina Jolie, Katy Perry, Mark Zuckerberg, and Michael Jackson, have all been accused of being a part of this reptilian race, and it's believed by many that they use their influence over their fans to shape the world around them. Many people claim to have witnessed disguised Anunnaki losing control over their shape-shifting abilities, revealing their lizard eyes or reptilian scales instead of skin. But as with many conspiracy theories, there are those with cooler heads, such as Dr. Michael S. Heiser, who believes that the Sumerian texts have been wrongfully translated by Sitchin. One example is a translation made by Sitchin of the word Nephal, which he believes refers to rockets used by the Anunnaki. This interpretation led to the belief that the Anunnaki were the Nephilim, but Heiser maintains that there's no proof anywhere in any ancient text, including the Sumerian clay tablets, where the word Nephal is a reference to the Nephilim. Those that oppose the Anunnaki conspiracy theory believe that Sitchin didn't have the necessary schooling to translate the clay tablets properly, and instead he decided to fit the translations around the beliefs that he wanted to indoctrinate his followers with. Sitchin passed away in 2010, but his theories have lived on, and in fact his website, enkispeaks.com, still exists. The site is filled with theories about the Anunnaki, including claims that they know they were godlike, but withheld this information from humans in order to decide our fates without our knowledge. Then there's the less popular theory that the Anunnaki make up part of a group of people who shape the Earth's history, economy, and rulers called the Illuminati. It's said that this group consists of enlightened individuals who use their influence to run the world as they see fit. This group is said to instigate wars, bring chosen people to prominence and power, and influence the media in a way that will eventually have an impact on the world, whether that impact be economic, political, or social. It's also said that they seek to create a single global currency that will bring the countries of our planet closer together, but in reality, it's a thinly veiled plan to control as many of the masses as possible, according to conspiracy theorists. As outlandish as all of this may sound, there are hundreds of thousands of people all over the world who believe the Anunnaki to be real, even though there's no scientific proof that they exist. One argument held by these believers is that there's no proof that they don't exist, which might not make any sense to you and me, but is held as an argument nonetheless. After all, there have been many conspiracy theories that were dismissed by the masses thanks to a lack of evidence, but then turned out to be true. Number 4. Most conspiracy theories deal with certain groups of people, like the aforementioned Illuminati. But some of these theories are aimed at specific places, one of which is Denver's International Airport. The airport was built, according to many people, for a nonsensical reason, since Denver already had Stapleton International Airport. But when it was proposed that it should be closed to make way for the new airport, there were many people who were opposed to the idea, since Stapleton had 6 runways and 5 terminals that served the city well. But planning went ahead, and in 1995, Stapleton was officially closed, after which it was redeveloped to become Central Park, Denver's biggest residential neighborhood. Many people think that this is where conspiracy theories surrounding the airport started, given that the new airport had fewer facilities and it seemed to be a nonsensical change that could only serve some unknown nefarious purpose. This belief was only fueled by the fact that Denver International took much longer to build than was planned, and because the budget for its construction seemed far too high. When people learned that the airport had been constructed to include underground tunnels, it only fueled the flame of conspiracy, and conjecture ran rampant. Authorities assured members of the public that the tunnels were to be used for a baggage conveying system and to house a train that runs between the terminals. But this did little to dissuade those who had already decided that there was something amiss. Once again, we run into the Illuminati and a race of lizard people. Some conspiracy theorists believe that these underground tunnels are meant to be used as bunkers by these two groups when the world comes to an end one day, though it isn't certain how they would survive after the apocalypse has come and gone. Others believe that the tunnels reach much further than we're being led to believe, since they're rumored to be connected to the North American Aerospace Defense Command, which would mean that at least one of the tunnels is around 100 miles long. This would then mean that the tunnels were constructed using technology that we aren't aware of, since Denver International has only been in existence for 28 years, and using machinery known to us, it would take much longer to construct a tunnel that reached that far. Sometimes it only takes the mere mention of a certain phrase to ignite a conspiracy theory. When it was discovered that the airport's dedication marker mentioned the New World Airport Commission, who displayed a major part in its construction, tongues were sent wagging, and it was theorized that the airport had ties to a New World Order, which is rumored to be a totalitarian government that clandestinely rules the entire planet. To make matters worse, there was no record of an organization called the New World Airport Commission, and conspiracy theories believe that they'd hit upon something that was meant to be kept from the public. Now, we all know that certain conspiracy theories are born out of ignorance, and that certainly seems to be the case in one of the theories surrounding Denver International. Members of the public started noticing strange markings on some of the airport's buildings, and many believe that this too pointed to a secret society like the New World Order. The fact is, however, that these markings refer to the periodic table of elements and the Navajo language, which is spoken by the people native to New Mexico and Arizona. But still, this theory is believed by thousands of people who see the markings. Next, conspiracy theorists targeted the airport's runways. Despite it being proven otherwise, people started claiming that the runways were laid out in a pattern that's reminiscent of the emblem worn by German soldiers during World War II. In truth, the runways do somewhat resemble the symbol, but it's considered quite a stretch for people to claim that the construction was intentional, since the runways were built this way to avoid delays in arrivals during bad weather, which was a major issue with the parallel runways that existed on Stapleton Airport. No conspiracy theory would be complete without a mention of the apocalypse, and Denver International Airport is no exception to that rule. Add a series of coincidences to a misunderstood interpretation, and there would be no limit to the theories that'll spring up. This has to do with a sculpture that was created by an artist named Luis Jimenez. The piece features a massive horse, more specifically a blue Mustang that has glowing red eyes, and this earned it the moniker Blucifer. Conspiracy theorists believe that the sculpture represents one of the 4 horses of the apocalypse, despite the fact that Jimenez repeatedly stated that the eyes were meant to represent the American West's wild spirit. But this theory only gained traction after an unfortunate coincidence involving the sculptor's creator. Jimenez was involved in an accident, during which a piece of the massive horse fell on him, and many people took this as proof that it had a nefarious purpose. Then there's the artwork that adorns many areas in the airport. The first theory surrounds depictions of gargoyles that can be found around the airport. Some believe this to be a sign that evil is at play here, when the fact is that the gargoyles were used in the past to do just the opposite. Statues of gargoyles were placed on castles and other buildings to watch over not only the buildings, but the people that lived in them. But many people believe that they were placed at the airport as a symbol of the evil that exists inside and under the building. Another issue with the artwork concerns murals created by Leo Tanguma. People have pointed out that these pieces include elements that are reminiscent of Hitler's party, and that this shows that the airport is run by an underground fascist society. However, once again, the opposite is true, as Tanguma has stated that the murals are meant to convey depictions of peace around the world and the restoration of our planet's environment. Last but not least is the conspiracy theory that the Illuminati headquarters are situated beneath the airport. I mentioned earlier that the airport's construction cost a lot more than originally budgeted for, and conspiracy theorists believe that it's only thanks to funds provided by members of the Illuminati that construction was completed at all. Lending further credence to this theory is the fact that a time capsule was buried at the airport, which contains a Freemasonry emblem, and this was enough to garner suspicion from conspiracy theorists, who quickly linked the airport to the supposed clandestine organization. This proves again that if someone is looking for a conspiracy theory, they'll find a way to make it relevant to whichever subject they choose, and it may prove impossible to prove them wrong. Number 3. I'm sure we've all become familiar with the conspiracy theory that's gained a lot of traction in recent years, that claims that the Earth isn't round but flat. Much has been said about the subject from believers and detractors alike, but another theory about our planet has seen the light of day recently, and it's called the Hollow Earth theory. This theory became popular after an Instagram post claiming that the Earth is hollow, gained a lot of attention, but its origins date further back than you may think, despite it starting out as a genuine scientific proposition. In 1692, Edmund Halley, the famous English astronomer after which Halley's Comet is named, suggested that the Earth doesn't consist merely of layers and a core, but instead contains a number of spheres, each of which spins in a different direction. He also suggested that these spheres were situated around the Earth's core, and that each sphere may contain a type of atmosphere that could support life. This theory was never taken very seriously by the Royal Society of London, and not much was thought about it. That is, until a man named John Cleves Sims decided to add his 2 cents to the theory. In 1818, Sims suggested that it was possible for us to reach these spheres mentioned by Halley via holes that are situated at the North and South poles. These holes quickly became known as Sims holes. This theory would become even more popular in the 1960s, after a photograph taken by the massive SS-7 satellite showed the North Pole from space, and it contained what looked like a massive hole in the Earth's crust. Sims held that there wasn't just vegetation and fauna under the Earth, but proposed that there may be a race of humans living beneath our feet. He also suggested that it isn't just the Earth that's hollow, but the entire universe. So convinced was Sims about his theory that he planned to travel to the poles to find the access holes, and he started gaining followers who shared his beliefs. In 1822, he secured a chance at a vote in Congress that would see him receive the funding for his expedition, but the idea was quickly dismissed and he never got the chance to prove or disprove his theory. But the idea didn't die there. In fact, it's proven so popular that books have been written about it. People have created websites dedicated to the belief, and some have even considered traveling to the poles to find for themselves whether it's true. The theory also has different variations, with some people claiming that there are, in fact, no spheres under the Earth's crust, but just a massive void that may hold all sorts of animals and plants that we've never seen before. Others claim that the Earth has no core, but instead has a sun that sits in the exact center of this massive chasm. This sun is then cited as the source of heat and light that these planets and creatures need to survive, and that they don't only survive, but thrive beneath the Earth's surface. Taking Sims' theory about a hollow universe one step further, a man named Cyrus Teed, who eventually became a cult leader, theorized that our entire universe is actually situated inside of a giant shell. This would mean that we're living inside of a hollow structure. This begs the question, if we're living inside of a structure, how are we able to observe the universe and all of its stars, planets, and other celestial bodies? But Teed had an answer for that too. He claimed that what we see when we look up at the night sky is nothing but an illusion, and that the stars are just reflections from a solar mechanism that creates this illusion. Inexplicably, many people believed in this theory, and Teed soon had many followers who became part of a community of like-minded people who lived in Estero, Florida, but the community members all went their separate ways after Teed, now called Koresh, passed away. Other theories about Hollow Earth suggest that the lost tribes of Israel were taken to live beneath the Earth's surface, and that this is where both heaven and hell are situated. This was proposed in 2008 by author Rodney Clough, who claims to have uncovered irrefutable evidence that not only is the Earth round, but that the same is true for almost every planet in our solar system. Clough also believes in the theory that there's a sun at the center of the hollow Earth, and that it's home to Vikings, World War II refugees, and Inuit people. Claiming that he has spoken to the people who made it inside the underground world, Clough decided to see for himself, and he started organizing an expedition to travel to the North Pole in 2007. The plan was to reach the pole via Russia at the cost of $20,000 per person, and upon their arrival beneath the Earth, they would visit the king of the inner world after sightseeing at the city of Eden, both of which are part of this amazing world. But the expedition never took place, as the group's plans never seemed to work out. But Clough has stated that he will continue to try and find a way to make it to the inner world. Clough maintains that the Earth's crust is about 800 miles thick, and that there are no further layers beneath the crust. As for the sun that is situated at the void's center, it has two halves, one of which shines brightly to provide daylight, while the other side is darker, providing darkness at night. He also insists that we may have had contact with the people who live beneath the Earth, but this evidence is being suppressed by the powers that be that will stop at nothing to conceal the Sims holes. which would grant us access to a better and richer world. This theory isn't just based on the ideas of scientists and astronomers, though. It would seem that fictional literature had its part to play after Jules Verne published his book, A Journey to the Center of the Earth. In this tale, a group of explorers find a volcanic conduit through which they can access the Earth's interior, and once inside, they discover another world complete with oceans, prehistoric fish, mastodon, forests, and a giant man. This gave rise to similar pieces of fiction that became the basis of today's Hollow Earth theories, that include a race of advanced humans that live in the inner Earth, accompanied by animals that dwarf the ones on the Earth's surface. It's also said that the jungles under the Earth teem with wildlife, and that there's a constant aura that provides light for these jungles to thrive, which in turn provides sustenance to the animals that live within it. One last theory that we'll mention here is that some conspiracy theorists believe the center of the Earth to be inhabited by extraterrestrial beings that can often be seen flying their craft into the ocean to gain access to their homes beneath the Earth. This does seem to be the least popular theory though, and for now, we'll just stick with dinosaurs and giants. Number 2. As you may imagine, there's more than one conspiracy theory that involves the Earth, such as suggestions that we live in a computer simulation, which accounts for strange events that are often referred to as glitches in the Matrix. Others believe that our planet isn't actually in space, but that it rests on the back of a giant turtle, or in some cases an elephant that's making its way across the cosmos. But another conspiracy theory that refuses to die is one that claims we're living inside of a black hole, and that it isn't just Earth that's trapped, but our entire universe, and this will take some explaining. Most of us are familiar with the scientific theory that our universe is the result of the Big Bang. Before this event, it's claimed that every single piece of matter in our universe was compacted into an area no bigger than a soccer ball, or according to some theories, around 2.5 acres. When the Big Bang happened, all of this matter was scattered, forming everything that we know today, including the stars, planets, and everything in between. But one theory suggests that the opposite is true, and that we emerged from a black hole. Before being ejected from the black hole, we lived in a 5-dimensional world that contained a 5-dimensional star that eventually collapsed, forming the 4-dimensional black hole in which we currently reside. To explain this further, consider the fact that we live in a 3-dimensional universe that contains 3-dimensional black holes. However, our black holes contain curved event horizons, also known as the point of no return, that are 2-dimensional. Now consider the possibility that our universe is nothing more than an event horizon. For this to be possible, we would be living in a 4-dimensional black hole, since we would always be living in one dimension less than the black hole that we find ourselves in. But this conspiracy theory might not be as outlandish as we imagine. Many reputable scientists believe that this is a distinct possibility, since it answers many of the questions about our universe that we've been unable to address. For example, if all the matter contained in that small football-sized area were to be swallowed by a black hole, the black hole would grow according to the amount of matter that it has swallowed. But so would that black hole's event horizon, and so it would contain the exact amount of matter that makes up the universe that we know. But we may not be the only ones living inside of a black hole. Physicist Nikodym Poplawski has theorized that there may be an entirely different universe inside every black hole that exists, and each of those universes can hold any number of planets similar to Earth. That would mean that there may be billions of Earth-like planets that exist in alternate dimensions, each with its own unique life forms, solar systems, and possibly humans. Poplawski thinks that when a star dies, it collapses in on itself, creating a black hole. When this happens, a white hole is formed on the other side of the black hole, and this would be where the brand new universe is formed. But black holes aren't constant, and they lose mass over time. But this doesn't mean that the universe that it created stopped existing, since it would in all likelihood keep expanding as our universe does. This would also mean that these universes weren't born out of singularities, since their radius would be the same as that of a black hole from which it was created. But that leaves the question of how the original black hole that created the universe came into existence in the first place. Poplawski thinks that each black hole may have been created in another universe, which would mean that our planet and our entire universe was once part of another universe that exists in an alternate dimension. Another element that needs to be considered is whether these alternate universes observe the same laws of physics as our own. It's entirely possible that this isn't the case, and many people believe that those living in alternate universes may have fewer restrictions as far as physics go. This could mean that interdimensional travel is easily possible, or technology may advance much faster in one of these universes than on ours. If that is the case, other beings may be able to travel between these dimensions, visiting planets in unexplored universes such as ours. So does this account for some of the strange things we see going on in space in our own universe? Could it be that the UFOs that we see in the sky are, in fact, travelers from an alternate reality? Number 1. Brunswick Springs, which is located in Brunswick, Vermont, is known for its 6 springs, and each of these is rumored to contain a different mineral. The setting of the springs is idyllic, with flowing streams, green vegetation, and amazing scenery. But there may be a darker side to the springs, as many people believe them to be cursed. The curse is said to have started while people of the Abenaki tribe lived in the area, and they used the springs on a daily basis, as they also believed in the healing properties brought about by the minerals that they contain. But they believed that they had proof of these healing properties, as a soldier who was wounded during the French-Indian War was brought to the springs and placed in the water. The Abenaki people believed that the minerals in the springs could be used to treat and heal any ailment known to man, but each ailment needed its own unique mixture of the 6 minerals, and this knowledge is said to have been lost over time. Before long, the soldier was completely healed and he was sent on his way. But after the war had ended, the soldier returned to the springs as he was amazed by their powers. But then he did something that the Abenaki people considered sacrilegious. His plan was to bottle the water from the springs so that he could sell it for a profit. But the Abenakis tried to stop him and a struggle ensued, causing one of the tribe's people to lose their life. A member of the tribe who was said to be a powerful sorcerer then cursed the springs so that anyone who wanted to use the springs for nefarious purposes would run into serious trouble. The spirit of this sorcerer is said to still haunt the nearby Silver Lake, as many people have reported seeing her wandering in the area. But not everyone heeded her warnings, and soon word spread about the miraculous springs that healed a mortally wounded soldier. This attracted profit-hungry people since it was common at the time for ailments to be treated with mineral-rich water, especially by those who belonged to Europe's upper classes. By 1932, the first house in Brunswick was built, and 28 years later, a hotel was constructed. To make matters worse, the hotel used water directly from the springs and advertised this fact to attract as many customers as possible. People from all over started flocking to the springs to make use of the healing properties in the water, and it's said that it healed people of all kinds of ailments that included consumption, rheumatism, liver and kidney problems, as well as inanimate limb syndrome. But this is when the curse played its part, as foretold by the sorceress. In 1894, a fire broke out in the hotel, and it burned to the ground. Not to be outdone, the owner of the hotel, a dentist named Dr. Rowell, rebuilt it, and after his passing in 1910, it was sold to a man called John Hutchins. 19 years later, however, it was razed to the ground once again. But Hutchins decided that he too wouldn't give up, and he built 2 more hotels on the same land, despite knowing that the curse may bring further disaster. He saw the springs as a veritable gold mine, and since he was already successful financially, he could take advantage of the springs to further his wealth. Hutchins was aware of the supposed curse but chose to ignore it. He didn't believe it to be true, but he should have heeded the warnings, as his other 2 hotels suffered the same fate as the first when they were destroyed by blazes. It was ruled that one of the fires had broken out when paint containers that were being stored at the hotels caught alight. But many people believe that it was a result of the sorcerer's curse, since the cause of the other 2 fires was never determined. But the tales of the curses don't end there. At the beginning of the 1800s, rumors began to spread that there was a strange and elusive creature, which they called the Wejug, living in the woods surrounding the springs, terrifying the people who lived in the area at the time. Locals described the creature as something similar to a bear, but it was no normal animal. It's said that this creature had the intelligence of a human, and it would be seen acting like a person. On one occasion, one of the creature's young was reportedly seen by Samuel de Champlain, a French explorer, as it threw pine cones at his fellow explorers while they were traveling through the area by boat. Those who claimed to have seen the strange creature reported that it walked upright on its hind legs like a human, and if anyone tried to cause it harm, it would seek them out and exact its revenge upon them. Some people reported seeing the creature filling up buckets with tree sap, which it used as sustenance. The beast was said to be very aggressive, and anyone who came across its path was warned to flee as quickly as possible. It would seem that this creature wasn't too fond of anyone living in the area either, as it was known to destroy their fences, use trees to decimate crops that had been planted, and it would often chase after livestock that were grazing in the fields. Traps were set up to try to capture the creature, but it would escape these traps every time. And also, some locals took to calling it Old Slippery Skin. Further proving its intelligence, hunters found it impossible to track the elusive creature. They reported that they would pick up its trail, but that it would suddenly end as if the creature had disappeared into thin air. It's thought that the beast would backtrack on its own footprints, leaving hunters no clue as to its whereabouts, proving that it was able to outsmart them, or so the tales claim. So ferocious was the creature that when Jonas Galusha, the governor of Vermont, decided to hunt it down in the Maidstone Woods, they had to make a hasty retreat when it came after them and chased them clear of the woods. No further developments were ever undertaken on the land where the springs are located, and none are planned for the future, but locals still swear by the healing properties that the water offers. One man stated when he returned to the area after serving in the army, he started working on the railroad. During this time, he injured his back at work and sought help from doctors and chiropractors, but he claims that it was only when he drank water from Brunswick Springs that he started feeling better, and he eventually made a full recovery, which he credits to the springs. There was also an older man who used to live near the springs, and he was known to go into the water every day without fail. He lived to the ripe old age of 90, and he always credited his good health with the fact that he would visit the springs on a daily basis. But not everyone agrees with either the supposed curse or the healing properties that the springs offer. Scientific studies that were carried out on the water revealed that the springs contained large amounts of sulfur dioxide, and that there's a negligible difference in minerals between each of the springs. As for the curse that's said to plague the waters, there are also many skeptics who believe that the unfortunate events that have taken place there were nothing more than a series of accidents and coincidences, and that these were taken by superstitious people to mean more than they did. But this doesn't account for the strange creature that supposedly skulks in the depths of the woods. Skeptics believe that this was most likely just a bear, but given the tales that have been told about it, visitors to the woods immediately jump to conclusions when they venture across its path. Since only a handful of people claim to have seen the creature, its existence remains a mystery that many people are still trying to solve. Whatever the case may be, Brunswick Springs remains a mystical wonder to those who live nearby, and they consider themselves lucky to be a part of its history. Whether you believe in these conspiracy theories or not, there are millions of people around the world that are steadfast in their belief, and many will not be swayed from their opinions. In the end, when there's no proof, there's no way to ascertain whether these theories are correct, and many of them will remain unsolved forever. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to hit that like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell to keep up to date with all of our future uploads. But my name is Ty Knotts, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.